Up above your head, past the loft hatch you only open twice a year, there is a box, maybe several. Dusty, taped shut, shoved behind the water tank and forgotten for 30 years. You think it's rubbish. Old toys, chipped china, a biscuit tin rattling with buttons. But some of what is sitting up there right now could pay off a decent chunk of your mortgage. We're counting down 20 British things gathering dust in your attic that could be worth a small fortune. Some you'll recognize instantly. Some will make you sprint up the ladder tonight. And number one has turned ordinary families into overnight thousands. Let's begin the countdown with number 20. Number 20. Vintage biscuit and toffee tins were once so ordinary that every British household had a shelf of them, holding everything but biscuits. Sewing kits, screws, old photographs, the good buttons. Those pressed and printed tins from firms like Huntley and Palmer's, Peak Freens and Macintoshes were miniature works of art, decorated for coronations, jubilees and Christmases long gone. A tin cost a few pennies more than the loose biscuits, and most families never thought twice about it. Yet the rarest novelty tins, shaped like books, windmills or vintage motorcars, now change hands for anywhere from £30 to several hundred, and the truly scarce Edwardian examples can climb well into 4 figures at auction. Condition is everything. A tin with bright, unscratched lithography and no rust is a collector's dream. That battered old tin your nan kept her hairpins in, the one you were about to take to the tip, might be the most photogenic thing in your loft. Start there. Start today. Number 19. Cigarette cards slipped out of packets by the billion in the first half of the 20th century, and men across Britain collected them obsessively. Footballers, warships, wildflowers, film stars, printed in glorious detail by firms like Wills, Players and Ogden's. Boys swapped them in playgrounds. Fathers pasted them into albums by the fireside. Most sets are common and worth only a few pounds today, exactly because so many survived. But here is where it gets interesting. The value hides in the rarities, the cards pulled from circulation, the wartime sets that were never finished, the complete albums in mint condition. A pristine full set can fetch several £100s, and individual rare cards, particularly early sporting subjects, have sold for thousands. The famous American baseball rarities aside, British sets have their own quiet legends. If you inherited a shoebox of these, do not sort them, do not clean them, and whatever you do not peel them out of the album. To a collector, the album itself is part of the prize. Number 18. BT phone cards feel almost absurd now, a relic of a Britain that queued outside red boxes with a card in hand. Introduced in the 1980s, these plastic cards let you make calls without fumbling for coins, and for a brief window, they became a genuine collecting craze. People bought them not to use, but to keep, chasing limited editions, promotional runs, and printing errors. Then mobile phones swept them away almost overnight, and the cards vanished into drawers and biscuit tins. Most are worth pennies. But rare trial cards, low-issue promotional editions, and cards with genuine misprints have sold for hundreds, and a handful of the scarcest early examples have reached well over £1,000 among dedicated collectors. The trick is spotting the difference between the millions printed for ordinary use and the tiny runs made for a single event or region. That little wallet of expired phone cards you kept out of habit could be quietly holding one of the good ones. It costs nothing to look. Number 17. Kitsch wall prints from the 1950s and 60s once hung above the settee in front rooms across the land, and none more famously than Tretyakhov's Chinese Girl, the woman with the blue-green face that critics loved to sneer at. Millions of these mass-produced prints were sold, deemed hopelessly naff by the tasteful, and eventually banished to the loft when fashions changed. Now here is the twist. Nostalgia has turned the tide completely. Original vintage prints of the most iconic images in their period frames have become genuinely desirable, selling for anywhere from £50 to several hundred, depending on rarity and condition. And the original paintings behind them are worth staggering sums. The lesson is simple, and it repeats throughout this list. The things your family found embarrassing, the items too dated to display, are precisely the ones collectors now chase. That green lady you hid in the attic because she looked old-fashioned has outlasted every trendy print that replaced her. She may be worth more than the wallpaper she once clashed with. Number 16. First-generation iPods and early mobile phones are the newest treasures on this list, and the most surprising. It seems mad to call a gadget from 20 years ago an antique, yet that is exactly what is happening. The very first iPod, released in 2001, and early brick-like mobiles from the dawn of the mobile age are now sought after, especially sealed, boxed, and never switched on. A first-generation iPod, still factory-sealed in its packaging, has sold for thousands of pounds, and even used early models in good order command respectable prices. Condition and completeness are everything. The box, the cables, the little booklets nobody read, all of it matters. Most of us threw the packaging away the moment we got the thing home, which is precisely why sealed examples are so scarce. That old phone in your bedside drawer, the one you kept for no reason, could be a piece of technological history. Do not power it up. Do not clear it out. A sealed box is worth far more than a working screen. Number 15. Retro video games and consoles have exploded in value, and Britain's lofts are full of them. The machines that ate your childhood evenings, the Super Nintendo, the Mega Drive, the early PlayStation, and their cartridges and discs have become serious collector's items. At a single UK auction recently, one boxed Super Nintendo game sold for £750, and a full console with games made £360, both far beyond their estimates. Sealed, unopened games are the holy grail, occasionally reaching thousands. Rare titles with small print runs, promotional editions, and anything still shrink-wrapped can be worth a small fortune. The heartbreak, of course, is that most of us played our games to death and binned the boxes. But even loose cartridges have value if the title is rare enough. If there's a dusty console up there with a shoebox of games beside it, do not assume it's junk. That afternoon you spent gaming instead of doing homework may finally be paying you back. Number 14. Vintage clothing from the 1960s and 70s has quietly become one of the hottest markets in Britain. Original pieces from that era, mini dresses, tailored suits, sharp coats, and especially anything bearing a recognized designer or boutique label, can be worth a genuine fortune to collectors and vintage dealers. Fabrics, cuts, and prints that felt hopelessly out of date in the 1990s are now prized precisely because so few survived in wearable condition. A single original designer dress can fetch hundreds, and rare named pieces climb into the thousands. Even unbranded clothing with the unmistakable look of the period sells well. The enemy is damage. Moths, damp, and mildew destroy the value of anything stored badly in a loft, which is exactly where most old clothes end up. If your mother or grandmother kept her best frocks wrapped away because she couldn't bear to part with them, those garments may now be worth more than anything hanging in your own wardrobe. Number 13. Old cameras stored in leather cases have a way of hiding in lofts, dismissed as obsolete the moment digital arrived. But the finest vintage cameras are anything but worthless. German-made Leicas in particular are the ones that turn heads, their precision engineering making them icons of 20th century design. A vintage Leica in good working order can sell for thousands of pounds, and the rarest early models have reached eye-watering sums at auction. Other quality makes, Rolleiflex, Hasselblad, and certain classic British and Japanese cameras also hold strong value. The key factors are the maker, the model number, the condition of the lens, and whether the mechanism still works. Even the leather case and original box add to the price. That heavy old camera your grandfather treasured, the one you assumed was made worthless by smartphones, might be a beautifully built machine that collectors around the world are hunting for. Handle it gently, check the name on the front, and resist the urge to take it to pieces. Number 12. Whitefriars and studio glass sit in lofts wrapped in yellowing newspaper, and most people have no idea what they're holding. Whitefriars, the celebrated British glassworks, produced boldly coloured textured vases in the 1960s and 70s, the famous bark and banjo designs among them, that are now intensely collectible. A rare colourway in perfect condition can sell for several £100s, and the scarcest pieces reach well over £1,000. Alongside them sit works from other British art glassmakers, each with their own devoted following. Colour is crucial. The rarer and more vivid the shade, the higher the price, and certain discontinued colours are worth many times the common ones. The cruel enemy, of course, is the chip. A single nick to the rim can slash the value in half. If there's a chunky, oddly beautiful coloured vase up in your loft that never quite matched anyone's taste, look closely at the base and the colour. It may be one of the most sought-after pieces of British design of its era. Number 11. Palitoy Star Wars figures, Cindy dolls and Action Man take us into the most emotional territory of all, the toys of British childhood. Palitoy, the Leicester firm that produced Star Wars toys for the UK market, made figures that are now worth astonishing sums, especially carded and unopened. A single figure still sealed on its original backing card can command hundreds or thousands of pounds, and the rarest examples have reached truly extraordinary figures at auction. Cindy, Britain's beloved answer to Barbie, and Action Man, the posable soldier every boy owned, both hold strong value in their earliest forms with original outfits and boxes. Here is the pattern break that breaks parents' hearts. The toys that were played with, loved, chewed, and left in the garden are worth a fraction of the ones kept pristine in the box. If some careful child in your family never opened theirs, or if a doting relative kept one for best, that untouched toy could now be the single most valuable thing in the house. Number 10. Vinyl records were dumped by the million when CDs arrived, and Britain has spent the last decade regretting it. The format is back with a vengeance, and original pressings, particularly of British rock and pop, can be worth serious money. Beatles records lead the field, and the legend that fuels the whole market is a real one. Ringo Starr's personal copy of the White Album, numbered very low, sold for around $790,000. Your copy won't be that, but rare first pressings, withdrawn covers, and records with pressing errors regularly sell for hundreds or thousands. Condition of both the disc and the sleeve is everything, and a scratched record in a torn cover is worth little. But a clean early pressing of the right album is treasure. That box of your dad's old LPs, the one you nearly gave to the charity shop, deserves a proper look. Somewhere in the crackle and the cardboard, there may be a record collectors are desperate to own. Number 9. British comics anchored Saturday mornings for generations, and the earliest issues are now worth far more than the pennies they cost. The Beano, the Dandy, the Eagle with its glorious Dandare artwork, all of these have devoted collectors. First issues and very early numbers in good condition are the prizes, with a first Beano or Dandy in fine shape worth thousands of pounds, and the rarest examples climbing far higher. It isn't only the British titles. Old American superhero comics that made their way into British bedrooms can be worth fortunes, with a first appearance issue in top condition capable of reaching sums that would buy a house. At one UK auction, a run of 1960s Marvel comics sold for several £100s against an estimate a fraction of that. The trouble is that comics were made to be read, rolled up, and ruined. If a bundle survived flat and undamaged in your loft, guard it carefully. Those flimsy pages could be your best find yet. Number 8. Vintage boxed Lego has become one of the most reliable treasures a British loft can hold. Long before Lego was a collector's obsession, it was simply the best toy in the house, and the sets from the 1970s, 80s and 90s that survived complete and boxed are now genuinely valuable. Discontinued themes, rare licensed sets, and anything still sealed in the original box can sell for hundreds or thousands of pounds. Even loose sets, if complete with their instructions and minifigures, hold real value. Collectors will pay a premium for the box, the little printed booklet, and every last brick present and correct. Here is the maddening truth. The complete, boxed, unbuilt set is worth many times the same pile of bricks jumbled into a tub. Most families, of course, tipped every set into one giant box years ago. But if some organised soul kept a set intact, or a grandparent squirreled one away unopened, that plastic in the attic may be worth more per kilo than silver. Number 7. Rare decimal coins might be the easiest treasure to check on this entire list because they could be hiding in a jar on the landing right now. The undisputed star is the 2009 Kew Gardens 50p, with its elegant pagoda design and a famously small mintage. A worn one found in your change can sell for around £120 to £150, and pristine examples fetch 200 or more, an astonishing return on a 50p coin. The gold-proof version, of which only around 600 were made, sold for £7,000 at auction. Other rarities to hunt for include the undated 20p error, certain early £2 coins, and the scarcer commemorative 50p. That old money box, the ceramic pig you never smashed, the jam jar of shrapnel on the shelf, all of it is worth tipping out and checking coin by coin. Somewhere in the coppers and silver, there may be a piece worth hundreds of times its face value. Number 6. Studio pottery is the connoisseur's treasure, and Britain produced some of the finest in the world. The handmade works of celebrated potters such as Lucy Ree, Hans Koper and Bernard Leach are among the most desirable ceramics on the market, prized for their beauty, their craftsmanship and the personal touch of their makers. A single piece by one of these masters can sell for thousands, and the very finest examples reach tens of thousands at auction. The tragedy is that studio pottery is often mistaken for ordinary old crockery and left to gather dust, or worse, chipped in a cupboard. The signatures are subtle, usually a small impressed seal or mark on the base, easy to miss unless you know to look. If your family had an artistic streak or inherited pieces from someone who did, turn those unassuming bowls and vases over and check the bottom. That plain little pot you always thought was nothing special could be signed by one of the giants of British ceramics. Number 5. Art Deco ceramics bring the glamour of the 1920s and 30s, and no name shines brighter than Clarice Cliff. Her boldly coloured geometric bizarre ware, with its oranges, blues and jagged patterns, was mass-produced in its day yet is fiercely collected now. A genuine Clarice Cliff piece in a desirable pattern can sell for hundreds to many thousands of pounds, with the rarest shapes and designs reaching truly remarkable sums. Alongside her sits Moorcroft, with its rich tube-lined floral designs, another British name that commands strong and steady prices. Both have been widely copied and faked, so the maker's mark on the base is essential, and condition, as always, is king. A hairline crack or a restored chip can transform a small fortune into a modest one. If there is brightly coloured, unmistakably period china up in your loft, wrapped away because it was too good to use, look for the signature. That cheerful old jug could be the crown jewel of the attic. Number 4. Dinky and Corgi die-cast models are the treasures that make grown men misty-eyed. The little metal cars that filled British toy boxes for decades. Made in Britain from the 1930s onwards, the rarest and earliest models are worth serious money, especially boxed. Pre-war dinky toys, scarce because the metal cracked and few survived, are among the most valuable, and certain TV and film-related Corgi models, the James Bond Aston Martin, the Thunderbirds vehicles, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, are hugely sought after. A rare boxed model can sell for hundreds or thousands of pounds, and complete gift sets in mint condition command a strong premium. The box is not optional. To a serious collector, a model without its original box is worth a fraction of one with it. That is the great heartbreak of the die-cast world, because what child ever kept the box? If a careful collector in your family did, or if a boxed set survived untouched in the loft, you may be sitting on a genuine motoring fortune in miniature. Number 3. Beatles and music memorabilia crowns the world of British collecting like nothing else, because no band ever mattered more. Signed photographs, tickets, original tour programs, promotional items, and personal effects connected to the Fab Four sell for extraordinary sums, and the market shows no sign of cooling. Authentic autographs of all four members together are worth thousands, and rare items with genuine provenance have reached hundreds of thousands. Beyond the Beatles, memorabilia from other British greats, the Rolling Stones, David Bowie, The Who, holds strong and rising value. The great danger here is forgery, because the more valuable a signature becomes, the more fakes flood the market, so provenance and expert authentication are everything. That old autograph book your mum took to a concert in the 1960s, the programme she kept from a gig she never forgot, the ticket stub tucked into a diary, these small paper survivors could be worth more than everything else in the attic combined. Music memorabilia is where nostalgia turns into real money. Number 2. Stamp collections sit in almost every British loft, inherited from a father or grandfather who steamed them off envelopes with quiet devotion. Here is the honest truth first. The vast majority of stamps are worth very little because they were printed in their billions, and even the famous penny black can be bought for around a tenner. But hidden among the ordinary are the treasures, the printing errors, the rare colours, the flawless early issues, the oddities that only an expert eye can spot. And the payoff can be jaw-dropping. In one now legendary case, a collection of Chinese stamps discovered in a British attic was listed with an estimate under £1,000 and sold for nearly £80,000. Whole albums that families assumed were sentimental clutter have transformed lives at auction. The critical rule is to never assume, never sort, and never peel a single stamp. What looks like the dullest book on the shelf may contain one small square of paper worth more than a car. Get it looked at properly before it goes anywhere near a bin. And finally, in first place, first edition books are the ultimate attic treasure, the find that turns a routine loft clearance into a life-changing morning. And the modern king of them all is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. When Bloomsbury published it in 1997, they had no idea what they had and printed only around 500 hardback copies of that first edition, most of them sent to libraries. Today, a genuine first edition, first printing can be worth six figures, with the record standing at over $400,000 and a signed copy selling in Britain for £220,000. One copy, spotted in a deceased estate and destined for the bin, sold for thousands after a single sharp-eyed auctioneer recognised it. And it isn't only Potter. First editions of other classics command fortunes too, with the finest first printings of Orwell's 1984 worth up to £80,000, and early editions of beloved children's books like The Wind in the Willows and Winnie the Pooh highly prized. The telltale signs are on the copyright page, the print line, the tiny misspellings of a first run. Check every old book in your loft. One of them could be worth more than your house. So there you have it, 20 British things sitting in your attic right now that could be worth a fortune, from humble biscuit tins to a first edition book worth six figures. The thread running through every single one is the same. The things we dismissed as junk, hid away because they were unfashionable, or nearly threw on the tip, are precisely the things collectors now chase. So, before your next loft clearance, look twice. Check the marks, the boxes, the copyright pages. Your treasure may already be waiting above your head. Tell me in the comments which one you're going up to check tonight.